Welcome to our channel, Heroes for Animals. We're so glad you're here with us today. As you settle in, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an incredible story like today's. Each day, we share amazing tales of heroism and the bond between animals and humans. So, stick around, because tomorrow we'll bring you another special story that you won't want to miss. Uncovering the truth, the mysterious past of a retired K9 who saved a baby. On a cold, foggy morning, a semi-truck veered off the road near an old turnoff. The driver was presumed to be dead, and the emergency crew was preparing for another routine crash response. But when firefighter Ryan Carter, 36, arrived at the scene, something was different. The truck, overturned and mangled, lay like a wounded animal on its side. Ryan had witnessed his share of accidents, but nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to discover. Just beyond the wreckage, barely visible through the mist, was a large, still figure, a German shepherd, sitting upright with unwavering determination. His coat was matted with soot, and his amber eyes never left Ryan's face. Ryan took a cautious step forward, trying to calm the dog. "Hey, buddy, you're safe," he whispered, but the dog didn't move. It simply stared, its focus fixed on something beyond the firefighter. As Ryan moved closer, he noticed what the dog was holding tightly in its jaws, a woolen blanket wrapped carefully around something small. Ryan's heart raced. Kneeling down, he gently coaxed the dog to release the bundle. With a slight movement, the German shepherd let go, stepping back but never taking its eyes off Ryan. The blanket was unwrapped layer by layer, and as Ryan's trembling hands revealed what was inside, he froze. It was a baby, barely breathing, its skin pale from the cold, a hospital bracelet still clinging to its tiny wrist. Ryan's voice broke the eerie silence as he shouted for backup. "We've got a live infant! Get medics now!" But as the baby was rushed away to safety, Ryan turned back to the dog. How had he survived the crash? How had he known to protect the baby? But the dog, Max, didn't follow them. He stayed still, unwavering, like a silent guardian. His presence, calm and purposeful, raised more questions than answers, and little did anyone know that this was just the beginning of a mystery that would unravel in ways no one could have ever predicted. As the medics rushed the baby to the hospital, questions began swirling in Ryan Carter's mind. He couldn't shake the image of the dog, the German shepherd, sitting so calmly by the wreckage. Ryan had seen it all before: overturned trucks, deer collisions, even a bus full of kids. But this was different. The dog wasn't panicked or frantic. It was protective, like it had a purpose. Ryan couldn't get the thought out of his head. Why had Max, yes, that's what the dog's collar read, stayed by the baby's side? Back at the crash site, Deputy Emma Davis, 29, arrived, her eyes immediately searching for answers. Ryan recounted the events, still stunned. The truck had been registered to a long-haul logistics company carrying electronics, no passengers, no infants, no animals. So how did Max end up in the wreckage? And why had the dog chosen to protect the baby? There was no immediate explanation, just a gnawing feeling in the pit of Ryan's stomach that something wasn't right. The investigation deepened when Emma decided to track down Max's history. It was then that they discovered something chilling. Max had once served as a K9 officer in Ridge County. He had been retired 3 years ago after an injury in the line of duty, and he was supposed to be living with his handler, Tom Renner, in Whispering Pines. But now, here he was, miles away from home, in the middle of a highway crash site, acting as the guardian of an infant. Emma felt a shiver run down her spine as the pieces started to come together. This wasn't a coincidence. Max had a deeper connection to the baby, something beyond mere instinct. Further investigation into the truck revealed that it wasn't carrying electronics at all. No, something else was hidden in the cargo. The baby, identified as Ethan for now, had no record, no missing child reports, no Amber Alerts, just a hospital wristband and a wool blanket. The more they uncovered, the more the question loomed. What was this baby doing in that truck, and why did Max protect him? It wasn't until they uncovered the dark secrets of Project X9, a covert biomedical program, that the truth began to unravel. Max, it turned out, wasn't just any retired police dog. He had been part of an experiment designed to form emotional bonds between K9s and infants. This bond wasn't instinctual, it was imprinted, and Max had been protecting his charge all along. As the investigation continued, it became clear that Max had been trained to be more than a dog. He was a guardian. The deeper they dug, the more disturbing the truths became. The baby, still unnamed but now known as Ethan, was rushed to Cedar Hills Regional Hospital, where doctors worked around the clock to stabilize him. Despite their best efforts, his condition remained a mystery. His blood work didn't match anything typical. His vitals fluctuated in strange ways, and there was no clear reason for his pale, fragile state. What they did know was that he had been abandoned with nothing but a wool blanket and a hospital wristband that barely bore any readable information. The question remained: who was this child, and where had he come from? As Officer Emma Davis and Ryan Carter continued to investigate, the puzzle pieces began to fit together in unsettling ways. The truck carrying the baby wasn't supposed to have passengers, and it wasn't registered for anything other than electronics. But somehow, the crash site had been the point of intersection between the truck and an infant wrapped tightly in a blanket. The more Emma and Ryan learned about the truck's route, the more it became clear this was no ordinary crash. It was a cover-up. A breakthrough came when Emma found a hidden connection between the crash, the truck's cargo, and a secret project known as Project X9, a covert biomedical research initiative that had been operating under the radar. The program was focused on experimental treatments involving infants subjected to genetic and neurological alterations. Ethan, Emma realized, wasn't just any baby. He was a subject in a secret program designed to test the limits of human development and survival. But it wasn't just Ethan who had been part of this experiment. It was Max, the dog. Max had been more than just a retired police K9. He had been imprinted with a special bond, specifically trained to protect these children. The research facility had experimented with dogs and children, embedding emotional connections, making the canines protectors in ways that defied normal instincts. Max wasn't just following his instincts when he stayed by Ethan's side. He had been trained to be his guardian. The bond between them wasn't simply an accident. It was a product of a sinister plan. But as Emma learned more about Project X9, it became clear that the people behind it had never planned for the infants to survive outside the lab. They were never meant to be saved. They were expendable. Ethan's escape, aided by Max, was an anomaly, a mistake in the system. And now, both Emma and Ryan found themselves caught in the aftermath of a tangled web of dark secrets, trying to uncover the truth while protecting the one child who had survived it all. As Emma and Ryan pieced together the puzzle, the chilling truth began to take shape. Ethan, the baby they had found at the crash site, was far more than just an abandoned infant. He was the key to an experiment that no one could have imagined. With each new discovery about Project X9, Emma felt the weight of their investigation press harder on her shoulders. The more they uncovered, the more the lines between right and wrong blurred. The truck wasn't just carrying electronics, it was transporting something far more dangerous. A child who had been part of a secret medical project designed to push the boundaries of human survival. When Emma, with Ryan at her side, arrived at the hidden abandoned facility where the project had been carried out, the air felt thick with secrets. The building, long forgotten by most, was a ghost of its former self. The walls, cracked and crumbling, still held the remnants of the horrors that had unfolded within. And as they stepped inside, the sense of dread only grew. Max, who had been silent throughout the investigation, suddenly became alert. His body stiffened, his nose to the ground as he led them deeper into the decaying building. Emma followed closely behind, her hand resting on her weapon, ready for anything. There was something unnerving about the way Max moved, like he knew this place. His every step seemed deliberate, like he had walked these halls before. As they ventured further into the building, Emma's heart pounded in her chest. It wasn't long before they discovered the locked room, its keypad scorched, its contents hidden from the world. Max stood before the door, barking once, his eyes filled with urgency. Without hesitation, Emma and Ryan worked together to power up a backup generator, bringing the lights back to life. The room beyond revealed a horrifying truth: rows of files, medical reports, and a crib labeled Subject INFL 6-09. This was no ordinary hospital. It was a lab, a place where infants had been experimented on, tested, and altered. The file revealed that Ethan had been part of an experiment aimed at altering human genetic patterns. But as they delved deeper into the secrets, a shadowy figure appeared in the hallway. A man, cold and calculating, stepped forward, revealing himself to be Dr. Nathan Calder, a senior researcher in charge of the project. The moment Max saw him, something shifted. The dog, who had been calm up until now, lunged forward, teeth bared, driven by a primal need to protect. The man fell to the ground, but the tension in the air was palpable. Emma raised her weapon, demanding answers. But Dr. Calder simply smiled, unfazed, and told them the baby's fate had already been sealed. Ethan was just a test subject, a failed experiment that was never meant to survive. Max's protective instincts, however, had thwarted their plans. The dog's loyalty to Ethan had become more than a training. It was a bond forged in the heart of forgotten experiment. And now, Emma and Ryan had to fight not just for the truth, but for Ethan's survival. As the investigation into the dark secrets of Project X9 continued, Emma, Ryan, and Max found themselves at a crossroads. The truth about the baby, Ethan, and the role Max had played in protecting him had sent shockwaves through their small town. But the danger wasn't over. Dr. Nathan Calder, the scientist behind the experiments, had been arrested, but his cold words lingered in the air. The baby won't live long. His system is unstable. The modifications were never meant to last outside the lab. Back at the hospital, the situation was growing more dire. Despite their best efforts, doctors couldn't stabilize Ethan's condition. His vitals were erratic, his blood work baffling, and his neurological patterns suggested something far from ordinary. There was no doubt about it. Ethan was different. But what had been done to him? And could he survive? Amid the tension, Max remained by Ethan's side, his presence calming the infant in ways the doctors couldn't explain. Every time the baby's breathing became shallow, Max would lay beside the crib, his body stretched out in a protective stance, his eyes never leaving Ethan's face. The doctors couldn't deny it. There was something special about the bond between the two. Max wasn't just a dog. He was a guardian, a protector who had formed an emotional connection with Ethan that no one could break. As days passed, the connection between Max and Ethan only deepened. The baby, once fragile and unresponsive, began to show signs of improvement. His breathing steadied, and his eyes started to focus. And whenever Max was near, his heart rate seemed to stabilize, as if the dog's presence was the key to keeping him alive. It was clear now. Max had imprinted on Ethan, just as the scientists had intended. But unlike the cold, calculated experiments, this bond was real. It was pure. Emma couldn't help but watch in awe as Max and Ethan shared these quiet moments. The baby's tiny hand would reach out, grasping at Max's fur, and the dog would sit still, letting the child explore. There was no hesitation, no fear, just trust. In a way, Max had become a father figure, offering the protection Ethan needed to survive. And it was clear to Emma that this bond went beyond instinct. It was love. Max's role in Ethan's life was far from over. As the hospital continued to treat Ethan's mysterious condition, Emma and Ryan made the decision that would change everything. Max wasn't just a retired K9 anymore. He was family. And with the court's approval, Emma would take Ethan home along with Max, who had proven time and again that he would never leave his side. The day Ethan was discharged, the town of Cedar Hills held its breath. Max, the silent hero, had saved a life, and now he was more than a dog. He was part of Ethan's future. And as they walked out of the hospital together, Max at their side, it was clear that this story wasn't just about a baby who survived. It was about the loyalty, love, and bond between a dog and a child that no one could break. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this incredible story. What do you think about the bond between Max and Ethan? Do you believe that animals, like Max, can form such deep emotional connections with humans, even in the most extraordinary circumstances? We're curious to know if you've ever experienced a similar connection with an animal, or if this story has changed how you view the loyalty and protective nature of dogs. Max's heroism goes beyond just protecting. It's a reminder of how animals can impact our lives in the most profound ways. We invite you to share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Whether it's a personal story, a thought on the science behind Max's connection with Ethan, or your take on the mystery behind Project X9, we want to hear from you. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, Heroes for Animals, so you can stay updated with more heartwarming and inspiring stories. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to bring you even more amazing tales in the future. Let's keep the conversation going. Leave your comments, and let's connect.